It is lacking a steering wheel.
This is it.
What?
Henry's a hustler who loves a deal.
That's fantastic!
And he's got an eye for a bargain.
Very trendy.
And Sam's a mechanical genius
Filing and smiling.
who's never seen a vehicle he can't fix.
Oh, mate! Let's do it!
Together they're touring the country searching out vintage classics to buy and restore.
Oh, God, blimey. That's lovely.
And once they've got their new wheels back on the road, they'll be taking on a series of iconic challenges that puts each of the vehicles to the ultimate test.
We have made the ascent. It's like touching the void.
This week the boys buy a classic race bike.
What we've got is a 350 Ducati.
Wow.
Man.
It needs a racing makeover and thorough engine check,
Okay, here we go.
so they can ride it on the legendary Isle of Man TT circuit.
To me, it's like coming home, man. This place is unbelievable.
Sam's never been to the Isle of Man,
Sammy?
so he's doing his TT homework, while Henry's been hatching a plan.
Busted.
What are you doing?
Having a little skive. It's really good, this.
Have you seen the light or what?
Yeah?
This is the opportunity that I've waited for years. You getting into the TT. Why don't we go and find ourselves a TT bike, right? Classic, yeah? Do it up and take it to the Isle of Man. And I will give you the full TT experience. What do you reckon?
I think you're winding me up.
No, I'm not. I'm taking you to Northern Ireland. Come on.
What?
So the boys are back again in the province, where Henry knows there's a TT bike for sale. They're going to one of Northern Ireland's great sheds for bike nuts, at the home of father and son, Gordon and Gordon Bell.
Boys again,
Good to
how
see
are
you.
you?
Yeah.
God, lovely to
Nice.
see you, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, look, the sun is shining in Northern Ireland.
That's right.
It's shining on the righteous. Hey, so how are you boys? All right?
Oh, great.
Yeah, good. You're still doing the Land Rovers?
Aye,
Still doing the tractors?
Yep.
Now look, right, I'll tell you what, I think I'm more excited about this shed than I have been for a very long time, mainly because of this TT bike.
TT or tourist trophy races date back to the early 1900s. They're held on public roads all across the UK and are considered the most dangerous racing events of all. And it's the Irish and Isle of Man TT races that are the most feared and loved. And the bike they've come to look at has a strong Isle of Man heritage.
What is the history with that bike?
It was raced in the Manx and late 80s and into the 90s.
And is it all up together, or should we just...
No, it's
It's just sort of nearly ready to go. Just needs a wee restoration.
just a little TLC and it's ready to go, yeah.
We can give it TLC, can't we,
We
mate?
can manage that, yeah.
The thing that I love about the TT, and it's mainly the camaraderie amongst the riders, and
That's
I think
right,
that's
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're that far away from, you know,
That's right, yeah.
something that's not very
right,
nice,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
They live on the edge.
Living on the edge, and that's what it's all about.
The TT is Henry's passion, but the two Gordons have been collecting for years, and there's plenty more to discover in this shed.
We can have a good old rummage, Sammy, honestly. Come on then, let's go.
That's it.
Boys, we'll see you in a bit, all right?
Okay.
Mate, check out the Super 4.
That is fantastic.
I need to, can I just give it a hug if I can't own it?
You know what? I get it with this one.
Proper rare, man, a Super 4 like that. Actually, no, we mustn't get distracted. TT, mate, come on.
Come on, overexcited.
The shed is full of mint condition vintage tractors and classic bikes.
Gold Star, is it?
Yeah, it looks like it. That is funky, proper looking thing. Oh, look at that. Wow.
Man.
That's nice. It's like circa 1921 Triumph H. That's lovely.
Sammy, look, we mustn't
throttle.
get distracted. Number 74 is what we're
All right,
looking for.
let's have a look.
There it is.
All right.
Just have a look. It looks as good as I thought it might. What we've got is a 350 Ducati single-cylinder race bike which, as Gordon and Gordon have said, has plenty of TT race history. Oh, it looks gorgeous, Sammy. What do you reckon?
I don't hate it.
Well, you see, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, because, right, I know you're not massive on Italian machinery.
And it's quite modern, but I like engineering, and I'm looking at the way it's been put together, and it's clean and tidy and purposeful, and I think it might be a real thing. It's lightweight, but it's still a real motorcycle. It's not an absolute tiddler.
No.
I think it looks smart. You know, I'm looking at it now, and I fancy a ride already.
Oh, good. Well, you see, look, we're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah,
Hey?
yeah.
Mate, I think it's just lovely. Number 74, it always was my lucky number. Do you think it has compression?
Yeah, I'll start and see if it has some gears, and how many.
It's got a steering damper on it.
5 gears.
Yeah.
It turns over, it's got compression.
Listen to that.
Yeah, I'll open the throttle so it can breathe a little.
The compression will show how it's tuned.
It's got lots of compression.
Has it?
Yeah.
Well, it would have, wouldn't it? It's probably relatively high compression as a race bike.
Yeah, but it gives you a bit of an indication as to whether it's, you know, we know it's been raced. So is it worn out, you know?
I'll tell you what's interesting, okay, rather than normal, okay, this is, you know, pretty mint as it stands.
Yeah.
So the key restoration with this basically is to get it running beautifully.
Yeah.
And find out, obviously, how hard it's been raced.
But as always, cost is key, and a racing Ducati with TT provenance won't come cheap.
Is it worth coming to Northern Ireland?
That depends how much it is.
I reckon anything below 5 and we're all right.
I know nothing about these kind of things and their values, but that would seem okay to me.
I would think so.
The Ducati seems to be all that Henry had hoped for, but now he's here, he's not finished.
Oh man, this is Trinket Town. There just might be some other trinkets.
I like this.
No, that's not a trinket, mate.
It is.
That's a race bike. That is lovely.
What's
now,
that?
please, will you cast your eyes on that? Now, I'm guessing that the actual picture is replica,
Yeah.
but the frame looks real.
Oh, it might just be the bottom of an old crate.
Yeah, but either way, man, isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah, it's lovely.
For anyone's little man cave?
Yeah, I really like it.
But that's not all.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That's great. Is that real?
Yeah, man. That is a mega... Well, it's a Tilly lamp, isn't it?
You know what that's for?
What, lighting things?
Yeah, but it's like a road worker's lamp from a very long time ago. You know, paraffin probably, pump up. So like a blow lamp, but with a mantle or even a bit of limelight.
I don't care, it's beautiful, isn't it?
I really like it. That's really great.
Okay, so now look, right, trinket-wise, we've got that Farmall sign,
Yeah.
right, which we can get going. We've got the Tilly lamp.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That'd be a nice bit of memorabilia as well, wouldn't it?
So with a couple of trinkets and the race bike, time to do a deal.
Boys, I've got to tell you, we've had, as ever, the best time, haven't we?
Yeah, really good.
Now look, apart from the bike, right, there are a few other trinkets I want to talk about, but let's just start. Now, has this been hotted up proper? I mean, it's a proper race bike, proper thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's the real deal,
It's the real
basically.
deal.
How much do you want for it?
I'd go to say it could be worth maybe 5,000.
4?
Nah,
wee bit light.
Couldn't take 4, no.
Light at 4.
No. I think maybe 4.5, maybe.
Halfway.
Halfways, meet you halfways.
Thanks, all right.
I'm not going to go any further because I think it's worth 4.5.
Yeah.
And I think it would be wrong, boys. Now look, before we all get excited on a fair and a good deal for all of us, can I just talk about a couple of trinkets?
Yeah.
There's a huge Tilly lamp up there, just by the cupboard.
I think I know the one you mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Would you want to flog that?
you
Oh,
think?
it should be worth £100, I think. Yeah.
So 100 quid potentially for the
Yep,
Tilly.
yep.
There's a Farmore sign up there, which I don't think's original.
Aye. I think it lights up. That is an illuminated one. Aye.
Would you be interested in flogging that?
Maybe if the price was right. I think so.
What would be the price for them with the Tilly lamp and the bike?
What about 5 for all that?
That's an expensive Tilly lamp.
What about 4,650?
What about 4,750?
What about 4,700?
Aye, I think that'll do. Yep.
Come on,
That's fair.
that's fair.
Yeah, great.
Hey, look, I can't take it off, and I promise you, this bike is going back to the Isle of Man.
Yes.
Get a lap on her anyway.
It'll know its way around anyway. That's for sure.
Coming up, Henry and Sam try to spark their new Ducati Racebike back to life.
Yeah, Scott, massive spark. Massive.
But can they keep their Isle of Man TT dream afloat?
On ski.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Henry and Sam have bought a classic Ducati Racebike
TT, mate, come on.
Come on, overexcited.
to ride at the Isle of Man.
I promise you, this bike is going back to the Isle of Man.
But can they get it going? The Ducati has been brought back to the workshop. It's been 6 years since it's been used in anger, so the boys now want to see whether they can get it running.
What are we going to do with it, mate? It's a race bike, it's highly tuned, rather like me.
Well, our usual theory would be throw some fuel in it and give it a whirl.
Yeah, let's get going. I'll get the starter.
No. I'm feeling with this, I've had a little look. If it is as highly tuned as it's supposed to be,
Oh, I know what's coming.
we need to be a little bit more careful on this occasion.
Yeah.
We need to make sure the oil's getting round. We need to rotate it, have a little look through the plug hole.
Yeah.
Just make sure everything's happy.
And that means getting it onto the workbench so that Sam can get at the 350cc engine. So they start to strip the Ducati down.
I'll tell you what, that is the joy of race bikes, isn't it? That everything's easily removable, potentially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's to service it in a pit stop.
First job is to take off the fairing.
Which way are we going? Forward or?
Forwards, yeah.
Well, there we are. Now that is what they call in the trade quick release.
Isn't it?
Next, it's the fuel lines,
Straight to tank off.
so that the aluminium tank can be removed.
There you go. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Sam wants to check if there's a spark, and so starts by removing the plugs.
It's quite interesting. That is a racing plug. See the tiny little electrode in there?
Oh, right, yeah.
They use iridium because I think it does something that increases the spark. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But when he looks inside the cylinder head, Sam finds a real surprise.
It looks very clean in there. In fact, I have to say,
What?
that is so clean.
Yeah. There's no oil in it.
It doesn't
No.
look like it's been run.
Oh, really?
That looks like a brand new piston. Could be great.
Could be amazing, could be a real problem.
It's so clean that it literally looks like it's had a reborn, a new piston and never been started. Which either means it's race fresh and ready, or it had a major catastrophe, someone did the bare minimum fixing and ran out of it.
No. They did the bare minimum fixing, then flogged it.
Maybe, yeah.
And then someone, after 6 years of it languishing in a shed or whatever, however long it was, buys it.
Yeah.
So the piston may have been replaced because the engine had seized or blown up. And if that's the case, they won't know if it's been properly repaired until they start it up again. Next checkup is the state of the oil in the sump.
Oh, look at that. So it's got oil in it.
Yeah. Doesn't look too bad.
No, it's got some sort of cruddy deposit up the stick a bit, but the oil itself's quite clean.
So that's good.
It looks like a synthetic Castor race. It's a Castor racing oil.
I thought that was just for two strokes.
It was the original sort of two-stroke oil, but actually it's vegetable oil from the castor bean, and it doesn't burn until you're over 600 Celsius. So it's really good for racing engines under a lot of load. Also, it remains the sort of same viscosity up the higher temperature ranges. So I think we're okay now to rotate the engine and put a battery in it, see what spark we can get.
First they mount a temporary battery and test the plugs.
Yeah, Scott's massive spark. Massive.
And then they put the bike in gear and rotate the rear wheel to see if the spark can now be operated by the engine.
Okay, rotate.
Good. Yep.
And as Henry turns the wheel, the engine does its job.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've got
Oh, mate, okay.
not only a spark, but an ignition triggered spark. The oil's clean, the piston looks clean, it's rotating easily, right? It's not difficult to turn over.
Not at all, yeah, no, it's fine. All right, so what do we do? Stick some fuel in it and see what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
The bike is put back together.
Ready?
Yeah.
Blimey, those alley tanks are so light and lovely, aren't they? It is beautifully made.
And then it's outside to get it on the roller starter.
On ski?
Okay.
But will the new piston hold up once the Ducati is fired back to life?
Okay, here we go!
This is make or break for the Isle of Man dream. And the engine catches, but will it keep going? It runs! The Ducati is firing again, and so there's only one thing for it, a lap of the paddock.
That's unbelievable! Straight out of the box, it runs! How cool is that? Hey! Tell you what,
That's a bit of a result.
come on!
That was a bit easy.
That was a bit too easy, wasn't it? I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
that smells of Castrol.
It does, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Hey? Cool. Now then, talk to me. Sounds as though it's a bit lumpy but goes.
Actually sounds really healthy to me. I mean, that's cold.
Yeah.
You know, there's no choke on the carburettor. I thought I was going to have to choke it with my hand, but it just fired right up.
But look, the bottom line is we've got a runner,
Yeah.
you know? And we need to get some new tyres. I'll sort that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to sort out the fairing, etc. Give her a good clean. I think some nice decals here, Ducati decals on the old tankage.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to fettle it, we're going to get it prepared, and we are going to the island.
So the Ducati's not in as bad nick as it could have been, but Sam will still have to make sure the engine's tuned for the TT circuit. In the meantime, Henry's turning his attention to the rest of his Northern Ireland haul.
Hey look, the Ducati's getting on nicely, but we did get these two little numbers from Gordon as well. Now, I say little, that is a Tilley lamp, okay, and it's a floodlight. Now, these Tilley lamps were actually made from 1818. John Tilley invented this kerosene lamp. Interestingly, this one was made in Hendon. The company actually moved from Stoke Newington to Hendon in 1915. And that was because there was a huge market, dare I say it, in World War I. And actually the Tilley lamp became the go-to lamp and became the generic name for paraffin lamps. Now, for me, I could have a go at restoring this, but I know a geezer who does restore these, and I think it might be good to send it out to him. There are little things missing in it, like there's a mantle that should be halfway up the stem there that actually you light, clip in there, and that then heats up and then ignites the paraffin that gives the floodlight. But it's an incredible thing, and actually that size relatively rare.
So, decision made. The Tilley lamp needs specialist expertise to get it working again.
So right now then, we've also got ourselves a little decorative sign. Now, none of this is original, please.
Farmall was an all-purpose American three-wheel tractor produced between the 1920s and 70s, and now this frame is destined to hang in Henry's shed.
I mean, all in all, it's pretty horrible, but the sum of its parts are rather decorative. Especially if you're tractors like me. I mean, that's the perfect requisite, isn't it? Eh? Look at that. Lovely. Right, let's get the front off.
There's nothing antique or vintage about this piece. In fact,
That's one of the cheapest, nastiest things I think I've ever opened up.
but undeterred, Henry ploughs on. He removes the bulb and the electrics and gets to work on the frame.
I'm just going to wax this, just make it nice.
He's decided not to sand it first, but instead to leave it rustic.
So really all I'm doing here is just giving something a bit of love, do you know what I mean? Rather than actually trying to add value to it or anything like that. This is going to hang in my shed and be part of the natural decor. Right, buffage.
Henry then buffs the waxed frame to give it an extra gloss.
You can feel when it's ready when you put wax on, obviously, when the mop starts to slide around a lot. And that's what's happening right now. That's lovely, it's giving it just a little bit of sheen, you know, a little bit of love. Sam might even think it's old.
And after half an hour, it's job done.
Look at that in the light, look, that's just shining lovely, you know. Still got all the patina.
After that, the frame is given some new bling.
There we are, nice little chain.
The electrics and picture are put back in place.
That goes like so.
And the frame is hung in the man cave.
Ready? Whoa! Hey, that's fantastic. Look at that. Hey, I mean, just a little, you know, accoutrement for my little shed.
Coming up, Sam's back in the workshop as the restoration gets stuck fast.
That's what it's all about, the right tool for the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey?
But the boys are determined to get their new bike back to the Isle of Man.
What have you done?
Nothing.
What have you done?
Henry and Sam bought a Ducati Racebike from their trip to Belfast.
4,650.
What about 4,750?
They're getting ready to take it on the legendary Isle of Man TT circuit.
That's unbelievable.
Henry's also restored the farmwall frame he brought back from Northern Ireland.
Right, buffage.
But now Henry wants to make sure that his Ducati is the real deal.
Now, Cosmic Ray has arrived. He's in the shed having a little ferret around the old TT bike. I've got him a cup of tea. Hopefully he'll have some news.
Ray is one of the leading Ducati specialists in the country.
Ray,
Oh, hi, Tony.
I hope you don't take sugar.
Oh, you're right there.
Now, tell me, mate, right, this is a wide case, is it?
That's a wide case.
350?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And was it originally a road bike, do you think?
It will have been a road bike. It certainly isn't a works racer or anything as fancy as that.
So this was an original road frame as well?
It was a road frame. It was probably a different frame to the engine. Those engines would blow and be rebuilt and swapped and changed regularly over the years. So if you're racing one of these, the chance of the original engine being still with the original frame is very, very slight.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we fired it up and it does sound gorgeous. We haven't ridden it much because the tyres are square, obviously, as you can see. But this was, what from, late 60s originally?
The YKS came out in the late 60s. A lot of people then took the basic bike and stripped it down, put an alloy tank on, put a fairing on, some rear sets, and you could race it.
Absolutely.
And they were very, very successful. In 2 years running, they won the TT production for 250. And the 350 is basically the same engine.
So the bike is a serious bit of race kit, from a line with a true TT pedigree. And now Henry wants to make sure his new ride looks the part.
I don't know whether to actually restore this or leave it as it is. I mean, you know, everything in my body says just sympathetically restore this fairing.
As a racer, these are not especially valuable at the moment. You know, and there's no, unless it was a particular bike that won a certain race with a certain rider, you would just do as you wish with one of these. Make it look like how you want, what you feel. So keeping the history of it being used, well, it would be good.
The Tilly lamp has been sent to specialist restorer and collector Neil Smith.
Got something like 800 altogether, and this is probably about half of them in the shed here.
Henry's asked Neil to get his lamp working once again. It's a classic paraffin burner. The fuel is pressurised to create a vapour stream, which then burns to provide light. It was probably used on outside work sites.
The early versions of this from 1938 had a brass plate on the front. This one doesn't have that. We don't know when they stopped using that brass plate, but I would guess that it was due to wartime shortages.
Neil starts by stripping the hand pump that is used to pressurise the paraffin in the tank. It's a painstaking process of replacing washers and cleaning up.
Ah, that's nice.
Before reassembling the decades-old mechanism.
With a bit of luck, this might actually function.
It still works.
Perfect.
So he can fit it back into the tank.
These are steel tubes.
The fuel jet or vaporizer gets the same treatment.
And they get badly burnt at the business end. Getting old bits of rubber out of Tilly lamps is usually the worst job.
But once cleaned and with the washers replaced, Neil fits the jet back into the lamp. He moves on to the 250 candle power burner.
Just need to make sure that there are no spiders' nests in there.
Reassembles it.
Awkward, these things, it's such a fine thread.
And then puts on the mantle so that it's ready to light.
And it should take up a nice shape like that, so it comes out and up.
With the burner back in place, he pumps some pressure into the tank, and it's the moment of truth.
Tilly lamps were always supplied with this preheating torch, and in theory you only need one, and that should burn the mantle off and heat up the steel tube, the vaporizer. And with a bit of luck, the whole thing will actually function.
A few more pumps to keep the pressure up, and the Tilly relic is fully functional once again.
Aha. That's better. That's functioning quite nicely. That's quite a nice burner. A little bit fiddly here and there, but typical Tilly. Just a little bit of time and effort and a few new washers here and there, and it lives.
Henry's delighted with Neil's work, and now back at the workshop, it's time to get the race bike into shape for the big day on the Isle of Man.
Now the Endeavour's getting a little bit closer. So we need to accessorise, we need to clean, but there's always the problem with the Isle of Man, even doing a little trundle round it together.
Yeah.
That we need to mix performance and reliability. Now she did run nicely, and we know that these engines are shimmed up massive and are technically very, very tight.
I think this is freshly rebuilt going on how clean the piston is. So my only concern is a bit of light running in, although if it's rebuilt nicely as a race bike it should be on tolerance already, so not need any.
If it runs, let's leave it. The fluids are there. It's good.
So with the engine looking like it's going to be ready for its Isle of Man homecoming, Henry and Sam can start to work on some of the more cosmetic fixes.
So what's the plan, Sam?
Well, we need to make a really nice holder for the battery box. We've got this beautiful rubber case.
Second thing is to remove the fairing, and we're thinking of removing the exhaust, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's good to have a look inside and make sure it's clean, and at the same time we can just give it a little bit of a refurbish on the outside.
So it's a major clean-up ahead, including new tyres and the final touch, some period Ducati decals that Henry wants for the petrol tank. But the first job is to get the fairing off.
Hang on. Fighting something
Yeah,
here.
we're fighting those things. Right, put that over here for the mo.
Bit easier to see everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Can we get rid of these straight away?
Yeah, I think so.
I've got a knife.
And So the first spruce up is a simple one.
Oh, look at that, to reveal beautiful springs.
Getting rid of the gaiters, no need to hide the front springs.
Here, hold that. Blimey, your fingers work better than that knife.
Next job is to build a battery mount, and stylishly. So Sam decides to make a holder from a sheet of aluminium. First cutting and trimming the metal to size, then flattening out the strips that will hold the battery behind the engine.
Oh, I say.
Yeah.
Oh, little screws poo through there.
Yeah, it's got one more little bolt to put in. Quite nice.
Posh as, mate. Do you know, it is just such a great sense of achievement, isn't it, when you make something out of just flat alley sheet?
I really like it. It's my favourite part of the workshop time, is fabricating stuff.
But before the battery is fitted, there's more to do. Next, re-gripping the handles.
Go on.
Great, we've done it, we've done it.
And then removing the exhaust. But there's a problem.
This ain't going well. That is the only 23mm socket,
Yeah.
but we can't get a ratchet on it.
Okay, so, I mean, the ultimate solution is a long reach 23mm socket.
Which
and
I
a
ain't
windy
got.
gun. No. So because we haven't got that here and we haven't got time to hang about, I can modify that and weld a bar to it and we use it as a spanner.
Oh, okay, man. Kind of Neanderthal type tool.
Yeah, well, that would be bespoke Ducati exhaust removing tool then.
So Sam gets welding, and in no time the bespoke tool is ready.
That has got to work.
It's a nice fit.
Nothing
There's
won't succumb to that.
plenty of leverage. Goodness, it's tight.
It's tight, isn't it?
There you go.
Oh, there we go, bingo. You see, that's what it's all about. The right tool for the job, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the cost of a socket, but
Yeah,
they're much
it's done.
easier than making a new one of these when we round it off and have to cut it off with the angle grinder.
And once the exhaust is off, Henry can give it a good clean.
Just getting the excess rust and stuff that's got on it from years and years of being in the shed. There's no real bad rust on it at all.
And then a respray.
This sort of darkens it, makes it more black. At the same time, giving it a bit of sheen.
And when it's dried, the exhaust is put back onto the Ducati and tightened with Sam's new wrench.
Nice.
With the battery now secured by Sam's other swift bit of fabrication, it's time to polish up the tank and for its finishing flourish.
That is very, very
What?
interesting typeface, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. It's period.
It is, isn't it?
Mate, I think that's pretty straight.
With the first decal looking good, Sam moves to the other side.
Don't come back now.
But it's not gone well.
What have you done?
Nothing.
What have you done?
Gone wrong.
Has it?
They don't have another sticker.
How did that happen?
So he's going to have to fix his mistake, or Henry's not going to be best pleased.
Okay, phew.
Sam snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
Look, how's that for a recovery?
Yeah, quite good.
And all that's left to do is get the fairing back on.
That slips on a little dream. Oh, mate.
Is it looking any better?
Oh, God, look. Okay, look, we've got to clean the fairing.
Yep.
But, mate, those grips, pipe and decal, hey, that's a beautiful thing. Let's go and use it for what it was designed for, shall we?
Coming up, it's time for Henry to show Sam the magic of the Isle of Man TT racecourse.
Anyone with talent gets air over here.
And a chance to see how the Ducati runs back in its natural habitat.
That is back in the hands of a stalwart. That's it.
Henry and Sam have bought a 1980s Isle of Man TT race bike.
There it is!
All right.
It's a Ducati 350, and they've had it verified as the real deal.
It was a road frame, probably a different frame to the engine.
Now they're taking it back to the island for an emotional lap on the legendary TT circuit.
I have to tell you, I'm in hugging mode at the moment, so I'm just going to try and prevent myself from doing it. How do you feel standing here in the pit lane with our baby coming home? Tell me.
I really didn't think this would happen.
Neither did I, mate. Absolutely.
We actually went to the Isle of Man when you said we were going to the Isle of Man?
Oh, don't be like that. Don't blame it on me. I thought just spiritually and actually completing the restoration it wouldn't happen, not because of me lying all the time.
Sam has motorbike history in his blood as a designer and engineer, but this is his first time at the Isle of Man. And getting the Ducati back into shape has been a passion project for both him and Henry.
The bike looks glorious. Now then, I've got a little surprise for you as well that obviously you can see if we go over here.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't do two up on that.
No.
So one of us is going to ride this little Ducati, which is same period.
Yeah.
1970.
Glorious.
But it's a 250 single from the glorious people at the Isle of Man Museum who's lent it to us, and a mate called Martin.
That's fantastic, isn't it? It looks very purposeful.
So they'll both be on Ducatis as they traverse the island. But who's going to get the one they've restored?
Now, obviously, the big question is, who's going to ride what, right? So, you get this right, you can choose. Are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
Tails.
Now, I have to tell you, I don't care whether that's heads or tails, because I think, because it's your first time here around this track,
Yep.
you need the full experience on the 350, and I'll bring up the rear, etc., on the 250.
Great.
Yeah?
That
Can I
sounds
just give you a
really
quick,
good.
sorry mate,
Yeah,
it's just, forgive me, I might just get a bit emotional, because to me it's like coming home, man. This place is unbelievable.
So this is what it's all about. The 37.73 mile Isle of Man mountain course. The TT racers do 6 laps. Sam and Henry are going to try just one on their Ducati racers, but they still need to look the part.
So are you ready for this?
Always.
Should we get togged up and make like Wonder Woman?
Do it.
You ready for it? Ready?
Seems pretty magic today.
It
Why
is
not?
magic. 1, 2, 3, Wonder Woman! Hang on, you got to spin quicker. Spin a bit quicker. Go on, mate, that's it. And stop. You're there, my very own Wonder Woman.
So, leathers on, the boys make their first tentative turns on the classic course. The very first TT race was held in 1907 on gravel roads and transferred to the mountain course in 1911. Since then, it's built its reputation as the most dangerous bike course in the world. Over 250 riders have died racing on the island. And these days, bikes fly through the closed island roads and villages at speeds topping 200 miles an hour. The course starts in the Isle of Man capital Douglas and immediately plunges down into Bray Hill, which TT riders would be taking at 150 miles per hour. They pass through Crosby village at closer to 190. Sam's job on the restored Ducati is to nurse the bike round at a more sedate top speed of 50. Henry and Sam's first stop is the famed Ballaugh Bridge, 15 miles into the course. At race speeds, the bridge is famous for riders getting airborne. But with Henry and Sam, not so much.
To me, this is one of the most iconic parts of the Isle of Man circuit. Now, you come down here and basically anyone with talent, which is everyone but me, gets air over here. Now, if you get it wrong though,
Yep.
people have been known to go into the Raven pub not meaning to.
Hence the mattress.
Exactly, yeah. And also there used to be, oh, it's still there, the only speed camera on the Isle of Man that I think is defunct.
But how's it been so far for Sam?
Well, come on then, 15 miles into your first circumnavigation of the TT circuit, what do you think?
Pretty, isn't it?
Now, does it do something to you or not?
Yeah, fantastic. So this thing has quite possibly come over that bridge a little quicker than I brought it over there.
Yeah, but that is back in the hands of a stalwart. That's you.
Having had his first taste of the course, Henry decides to give Sam a bit more food for thought.
Now look, right, how fast are we going? 50?
Yeah, if that,
Keeping to the speed limit if necessary? Yeah. The roads are open. But let me just give you something to ponder, right? Peter Hickman last year,
Yeah.
right, broke the lap record on a BMW RR. Any clues of what that lap record over 37.73 miles could be? He did it
Yeah.
in 135.4 miles an hour.
And that's his average speed.
Yeah, and he won. Now, the senior TT is 6 laps
Yep.
at 37 miles at a time.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a refuel, yeah, but he did that whole race just over 130 miles an hour.
That's absolutely crazy.
I mean, it is insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, coming through here, it's a 30 limit, it's a town, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's
but
he coming through here at? I mean, it's got to be over 100 at the lowest.
Ballough Bridge is one of the most famous landmarks on the race circuit and the perfect place to meet one of the Isle of Man's best-known sons, Barry Wood, a previous winner of the Manx Grand Prix, the amateur version of the TT held on the same course.
Henry, hey, lovely to see you. Now,
you,
look,
my friend.
right, I've got to introduce you. Take a seat, mate. Now, look, this is Sammy. Now, it's
Sam,
Sam's
how you doing?
right, first tour of the island.
Barry was born and bred here and raced from 1988 to 2007, picking up 2 Manx Grand Prix titles in his career.
No surprise I would have a motorbike at 16 on my birthday. It was no surprise I would start racing, and it was absolutely no surprise that I would start to race roads and race in the Manx Grand Prix and the TT.
Racing became a way of life, and the spirit of TT racing never left him.
If you do win any money, it doesn't go anywhere near to a fraction of paying for what you've had to pay for to prepare your bike or different things, you know. Even if you were racing for a wooden block with your name on it, if that's what you're racing for, with the Manx Grand Prix crest on, that's all that matters.
And with that advice ringing in their ears, Henry and Sam get back in the saddle. They're heading to the Joey Dunlop Memorial, 26 miles in and near the start of the mountain section of the course. Dunlop from Northern Ireland won an incredible 26 TT titles and was killed in 2000 while racing in Estonia. The course is littered with memorials to racers who have paid the ultimate price. It's the Isle of Man in all its tragedy and its beauty.
Mate, how was that?
That's amazing.
It is, isn't it? It is something
I like that.
totally different.
Well, it's just coming up out of it all into this view.
Yeah, it's just like a total transition, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about this circuit, that you've got through the towns, down Bray Hill, roundabout, through the sort of, you know, lower reaches of the Isle of Man, and you come up onto the mountain circuit. It is just unbelievable. I'll tell you what, even today and every day, there's no speed limit here.
In this sport, you're never far from tragedy, and Henry and Sam are meeting Dunlop's former teammate, Richard Milky Quayle, a man who knows better than most.
When I see people racing, right, I just don't know how their brain computes so quickly.
Well, I mean, ultimately, the TT course, it's the best racetrack in the world. The fastest, the most dangerous, the most exhilarating racetrack you can ever want to ride on. So to actually have the privilege to do it is an amazing feeling.
Milky survived one of the most shocking crashes of all time at a section called Ballough Spur on a superbike back in 2003.
The big bikes, they're just complete beasts. They're just like being sat on an Exocet missile. You know, it just wants to throw you off as quick as possible, which is obviously not the sort of thing you want to be feeling at 190 miles an hour. So I turned in to Ballough Spur where I'd normally turn in, where I'd been turning in all week. And of course I turned in and I just clocked my shoulder on the rock face on the inside, and that then pulled me off the bike, and then I hit the wall on the right, and then I flew through the air and hit the wall on the left.
These days, he uses his experience to tutor new TT riders.
There's so much to learn. And if you were Albert Einstein came here to do the TT, you wouldn't be able to take the information in. There's just too much information to take in one small dose. You know, you've got to literally do your homework. You've got to come here, serve your apprenticeship, do your time. And ultimately, that's why it takes 4 to 5 years to get in a position where you come from a complete novice to get in a position where you're going to win the TT.
From the Joey Dunlop Memorial to the finish line in Douglas is another 11 miles of mountain riding. In the TT itself, it's a chance for riders to go flat out. For the boys, it's a chance to take in the breathtaking views and reflect on a job well done on their classic race bike.
I'll tell you what has been amazing today as well, not only the weather, the experience, but that motorcycle.
Yeah. I really, really, really like that motorcycle.
Yeah. We actually did it, and we did it on that bike. Once went round in anger, now went round at a rather lovely convivial speed.
Really nice.
But we've done it with a great mate here.
Still haven't seen a Manx cat.
There are plenty of them.